Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Today we've got a very special lecture on public goods. Public goods. What are they? What? How do we decide how we make decisions about investing in them? What kind of problems might we run into? All exciting conversations we will delve into here as we hit on public goods. Um, Here at the outset, it is chapter 11 in your ManQ text. So let's go ahead and roll on in and take a look. Take a look at some public goods. Before we get too far, though, we have a couple concepts to clarify. So we need to ask ourselves, in order to figure out what a public good is, we first need to ask ourselves about a couple different qualities. Qualities of goods. So is a good excludable, and is a good rival in consumption? So what do we mean when we talk about that? Is a good excludable? Well, what I mean by this is, can a person be prevented from using it? Can you keep someone from having or using this good? I know what you're thinking. Can you keep someone from having or using this good? Well, the exclusion may just be a price point, right? So if you don't have enough money, you can't buy this good. That may be the type of exclusion. It could be, are you a certain kind of person? Do you have certain qualities or certain memberships to allow you to purchase a good? But mostly we're thinking of price. Do you have enough money to buy this good? That's mostly what we're thinking of. I think the example of just a simple pen is great for clarifying this. Um, is a good excludable? Well, is a pen excludable? All right. If you go to the store to buy this pen, if you don't have money, then you're going to be excluded from being able to buy this pen, at least legally, right? So you got to have the money to get the pen. So is it excludable? Can you prevent someone from using it? All right. Our second question, is this good rival in consumption? Or said another way, does one person using it diminish another person's ability to use it? So does my using the good hurt your ability to use it? We might ask it that way. So if we think again of the pen, and we say, okay, is it rival in consumption? Does my having it hurt your ability to have it, right? Well, if I've got this pen and I went to, Staples or wherever, I bought this pen, now it's my pen. If you go to Staples, can you buy this pen? No, you can't, because it's already been bought, because someone already owns it. Someone already has it. So it is rival in consumption, because my owning this pen prevents you from owning it. Yeah, following this so far? So these two questions are critical. Is a good excludable? Can we prevent people from having it? And is a good rival in consumption? Does my having it hurt your ability to have it? So we can put these two questions together and make a nice little table. So we've got our is the good rival in consumption here, and then we've got, if it's yes, it'll be in this column. If it's no, it'll be in this column. Is the good excludable? If it's yes, it'll be in this column or this row here, and if no, it'll be in this row here. So we come to four possible outlooks here, four possible types of goods, and we'll go through each of them item by item. First up, this top corner over here. So this will be where goods are both yes, they are excludable, and yes, they are rival in consumption. Well, what kind of good is that true? Is it both rival in consumption, my having it hurts your having it, and excludable, you can be prevented from having it by price or whatever, right? Well, what kind of good is that? Well, that's the pen, right? That's the pen, that's a t-shirt, that's a banana, that's most things that we can think of in the economy. We're going to call this first category private goods. Private goods will be our first category. And these, again, are both rival in consumption and excludable. So ice cream cones, clothing, even a congested toll road. So the reason, we have a public road. Well, if it's a toll road, then you have to pay to ride on it, so it's become excludable. And if it's congested, that means there's a lot of people on it, so each additional person is adding like a cost to the system, is hurting everyone else on the road somehow. You see what I'm saying? So this will include all your basic kind of private goods that you think of as buying and owning, and also kind of congested toll roads and a couple other more shared goods. But we will call this first group that is both excludable and rivaling consumption a private good. Well, now we'll address what if it is excludable, but it's not rivaling consumption. So if it, yes, is excludable, but no is not rivaling consumption. Well, this is something you'll pay for, right? It's excludable, but it's something that once you pay for it, it doesn't matter who has it. You're all kind of enjoying it at the same level. So we call these club goods. Club goods. Essentially, the idea is if you're in the club, you get to enjoy the good, right? Cable TV, I think, is the perfect example here. Cable TV, once you pay for it, you're in, you can enjoy the cable TV, and it doesn't matter how much cable TV you watch at your house, your neighbors are not ever going to come over and say, hey, you took up all the cable TV, right? We can both enjoy these things at the same time. So my having it does not affect your having it, but we do have to pay a price to get it. It is excludable. Okay, so this is club goods. Now let's address a good that is rivaling consumption, but is not excludable. We're going to call these common resources. So this is something you don't have to pay for, right? It's not excludable. Anybody can use it at any time. We all share it to some extent, but it is rivaling consumption. So my having it hurts your ability to have it. So this first example should pretty much clear it up. So you're fish and wildlife, right? If I go out to the lake and catch a fish, well, there's one less fish in the lake for you to catch later. It's rival in consumption. My enjoying the wildlife has diminished your ability to enjoy the wildlife. So the environment, another great example of a common resource we share, or clean air and water, said another way. The more clean air and water that another person consumes, the less that is available to me. So the more we pollute, the more we enjoy our kind of carbon-based life, right? The more we engage in these kind of activities, the more damaged the environment is, and the more my enjoying the environment has hurt your ability to enjoy the environment. When it is yes, it is rivaling consumption, and no, it is not excludable, we're going to call these common resources. And last but not least, what if there is a good that is neither rivaling consumption nor excludable? Well, that's going to be our public goods. Our public goods. So this is what we're centrally driving at. These are public goods. They are beneficial to society in some way. We all share them, so it's not rivaling consumption. So your having it doesn't hurt anyone else having it, and it is not excludable, so you can't really require someone to pay for it in an effective way. So just by nature of living somewhere, you gain the benefit of a public good. So for our first example, perfect, a tornado siren. So is it excludable? Is a tornado siren excludable? Well, you can't really prevent someone from using it, right? If it's going off, then everybody's going to hear it. And my hearing it, as far as rivaling consumption, my hearing it does not affect your hearing it, right? So is it excludable? No, because everybody can hear it. Is it rivaling consumption? No, because my hearing a tornado siren doesn't hurt your ability to hear a tornado siren. The big example that economists usually point to of a public good is national defense. So just by nature of living here in the States, you enjoy a right to this national defense that we as a society pay for. And is it excludable? Well, no, just by living here, you are included in our national defense. And is it rivaling consumption? Well, just me having national defense doesn't hurt your ability to have national defense. So no, it's not rivaling consumption. It's neither of these, which makes it a public good. So hopefully you guys understand how this table has come about and how each of these different labels work. So just to solidify what we showed in the last slide, this is that same table, just with examples of each. So private goods are both excludable and rivaling consumption. Club goods are excludable, yes, but not rivaling consumption. So you can think of Netflix, right? My having it doesn't affect your having it. We can both watch Netflix at the same time and it doesn't hurt anybody. But you do have to pay, or somebody has to pay, somebody's uncle has to pay so that we can have an account, right? Everybody's hopping on the same Netflix accounts. Well, we've also got common resources here, which are rivaling consumption, but are not excludable, right? This is your fish, your clean air and water. And we've got our public good, which of course is neither excludable nor rivaling consumption. So this is your national defense, etc. I wanted to take 2 seconds and look at public goods. So as we decide whether or not we want to pay for a public good, how much we want to invest in a public good, how much should we spend on our national defense, or how much should we spend on fixing up the roads in a certain town? Well, in order to ask these kind of questions, we might want to run some kind of cost-benefit analysis, which is just a process of weighing kind of pros and cons of investing in a public good. Economists do this all the time. A goal of this might be to see how much are we going to spend on this project. Say we want to build a new bridge or something like that. How much are we going to spend on this project, and how much are we going to benefit from it? What are is it going to save time? Is it going to save lives? Does it just make things more convenient, or is it critical somehow? These kinds of pros and cons, arguments for and against, that we want to parse out and as best as we can really assign dollar values to them and weigh actual dollar cost against actual potential dollar benefit of projects like this. So we will want to do that as we research our public goods, deciding whether or not to invest in them. And once we do invest in them, we may run into something called a free rider problem. A free rider is just someone who benefits from something but doesn't pay, right? So potentially people are definitely going to benefit from things like tornado sirens and national defense, even though they aren't paying their share of the bill for these things. So this may be a potential problem we run into with public goods. Last thing I wanted to hit here, we run into a really serious problem with our common resources. Again, common resources are rivaling consumption, so my having it can hurt your having it, but they are not excludable, so we can't really prevent people from using them. The tragedy of the commons is like a story that tells tells that people use common resources more than society would want. When we all share fish or wildlife or clean air and water, things like this, we all share them. Everybody has an incentive to enjoy as much as they want, right? So kind of like this picture over here of the fishermen. Their incentive is to catch as much fish as possible. You know, if you're a fisherman, you want to fish, you want to bring in as many fish as you can. That's how you make money. That's how you run your business, right? But unfortunately, if they fish too much, and their incentive again is to fish as much as they possibly can, but eventually enough people fishing as hard as they can is going to result in overfishing, right? And potentially can damage everybody because there's less fish available. Perhaps we can deplete whole schools of fish, and eventually they have a hard time reproducing and catching up with how much we're taking out. We see the same kind of thing with this example of pollution, right? Overusing our clean air and water. Whenever we share a resource like this, we are going to run into this problem of the tragedy of the commons, where we have a tendency to overuse and abuse resources. So hard as it is, this is a potential problem we may run into, and we are going to have to think about ways of addressing these different public goods and common resource problems, and how much we want to invest in public goods and common resources and stuff like that. All very important economic questions. So hopefully you guys have learned a little bit about the nature of public goods, private goods, club goods, and common resources, and I'll have to catch you all next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.